Nice fatty cut of meat, nice fat cap, nice thick cut. All right, so sous vide steak. One of my favorite things to sous vide is fatty cuts of meat. We're doing a New York strip, a striploin. Yo, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out a lot. First thing you're gonna do is you're going to let your steak sit out for 10, 15 minutes or so, just to kind of get the chill off. You're gonna set your circulator for 140. As that heats up, you're gonna season your steak with some sea salt or kosher salt, cracked black pepper, or you can add some Worcestershire sauce. And then you're gonna vacuum seal it and place it in the water bath. This is a nice thick cut, so I'm gonna go 90 minutes on this. I feel like it's gonna take 90 minutes at least to reach equilibrium. It's gonna soften the fat a little bit. It's not gonna have that raw texture on the inside. Take the steak out of the vacuum sealed bag, dab it with paper towels to get it nice and dry. And then you're going to get your cast iron skillet super hot, or make a hot spot in your grill with your coals if you're gonna do it that way. The steak is already cooked, so we're just going to get a nice dark sear on the outside. You can go super high heat and use, grapeseed or safflower. There's a lot of different oils that have a higher smoking point. That's the way I do it. Some people just want to crisp it up in butter in a nonstick. That also works great. Let it sit on the fat cap first, kind of sear that. That's going to get a nice little layer of beef fat in your cast iron skillet too, which is going to add nice flavor to the outside crust of your steak. 2 minutes on each side, if that. This is a nice thick cut of steak, so if it's something thinner, go a lot less time. Let it rest, just to kind of redistribute the juices within the meat. Let it rest for 7 to 8 minutes. And then you're gonna slice your steak either straight up and down or on a bias if you want. And we're gonna serve that with a pink peppercorn sauce. I like to be really simple with steak, so we're just gonna do a classic sauce, just a peppercorn sauce. We got some beef stock in there, a little bit of butter, some peppercorn, some shallots, deglazed with a little bit of white wine. Use Marsala, sherry, you can use red wine. I mean, it's as basic as it gets. Bones are poor conductors of heat, so it doesn't really matter. Bones are really porous, so it's not gonna get any hotter if the bone's on it or not. But it does make a difference, if you're searing it all on all sides and you do have the bone on one part, it is gonna get a little bit less cooked there. You'll never see me sous vide a tenderloin. I did sous vide a porterhouse once, but the tenderloin got a little bit overcooked. It was not medium rare, it was medium, and the reason for that being is there's no fat on the tenderloin to insulate it, just like there's fat on the strip loin, so it's two very different cuts of meat. I would never sous vide A5 Wagyu from Japan because the fat is actually really fragile in it. It's not as tough as an Angus or a cross between a Wagyu and an Angus. It's much more delicate meat. I would only sear that rare. I like to do 140 for a fatty cut, like a ribeye, like a strip loin. But you can play around with the temperature for that. If it's an inch or so or a little bit more, I would say 90 minutes. If it's less than an inch, I would say 1 hour. If it's a crazy hunk of meat that's like 2 inches, I would say 2 hours. That depends on the temperature and also your method for searing the outside too. So play around with it. Once you've done a lot, you get your rhythm going. So another difference is whether you have grass-fed beef or you have corn-fed beef. Grazing on grass is something very natural for a cow. The grass-fed cuts are going to be smaller because the cows are healthier, more fit, healthier for the environment as well because they graze, they chew up all the grass in an area, the manure drops and it's grass manure, which then goes right back into the ground and fertilizes the ground, and then the grass grows. With corn-fed cattle, they may start out the same way with grazing with grass, but then they're put in feedlots where they can't move so much. I believe they're fed grass and grain as well, but there is a manure buildup. The corn-fed is going to be bigger cuts. It's gonna have that melt in your mouth fat. They're gonna be fattier cuts. It's got that really good flavor that people crave. when they think of a steak. Pick and choose that if it's an ideological thing to you, if you're an environmentalist, or if you just want to eat what you want to eat, make your decision. But as far as sous vide's concerned, you could probably go longer times on corn-fed beef because there is more fat.